Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our near calendars franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode we had the draft and resign stage, and we acquired some pretty solid prospects at the draft. We did decide to move our 28th overall pick into being 25th overall, so we made like a little lateral move to move up a couple spots, which is good. We got ourselves an elite goalie prospect because of that, and we also made a trade for a second round pick by moving future picks to get it. And I think we had a pretty good draft, all things considered. If we go to our unsigned players at the moment, you could see we drafted this top 4 potential defenseman in the second round. He's an offensive defenseman, so I'm hoping that he could develop really nicely. 69 and 18 is really good, and he has some pretty good attributes, so very excited to see what this kid could do, and if he could actually grow into being better than the top 4, because who knows, maybe if he grows fast enough, puts up a lot of points, maybe he'll be a really beneficial player to our future of our team. We also drafted ourselves a highly goaltender prospect in the first round in Solovyov, so now we have 2 good goalie prospects in our system, so things are looking good for the future. Obviously, we don't still have the deepest prospect pool, but I think we're definitely starting to build it up a little bit, and hopefully, obviously, we could still continue to do that while we also try and contend. But anyways, before we get into free agency and seeing what we sign up, let's get into your guys' comments and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll get into the rest of this offseason and also start up year number 3. So the first comment is from Teddy Hood, who says, if the player has full organizational interest, you can likely move down 2 full bars on the salary. So that's kind of interesting. So if we were going to free agency, for example, here, and there's all these guys, like if somebody has like a full organizational interest for some interest like Alex Tuck, we would be able to say get him down to like 2 bars of those. I think it's like 10 bars, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, yet of 10 bars. So we can basically do like an 80% off contract in a sense if he has if he has full organizational interest, I guess. We could do 80% of what he's asking for, basically, is what I guess we're trying to say. The next comment is from Nick Buckerbones, who says, good draft. And I think it was a pretty good draft for us as well. Obviously, having late picks and making still some pretty good picks with our picks, I really like that, obviously. Because obviously we're still trying to contend, but we also want to build up for the future while we have a chance to. So that's why I'm not moving any of my prospects out right now. Because obviously if this team starts to fall off a cliff, we want to find ourselves some players that could obviously take over for this team and turn them into a contender in the future rather than right now. So obviously right now we're still trying to contend, but in a few years we might be in more of a rebuilding state at the moment. Next comment is from Michael Dost, who says, I would play Pratt in the AHL at 69 rating and see what he could do there. And yeah, I think I agree with you on that. Also, I know that Saturn Talk was mentioned about signing as well, which I'll get to his comments in a second. But yeah, I think probably signing Pratt would be good for the AHL. He is looking pretty good, like we were just looking at in terms of attributes. You can see like his shot power is good, his accuracy is good. Like he should be able to put up points in the AHL and hopefully get good growth from that too. And then hopefully he can make it to the New York Islanders within a few seasons and help us out quite a bit from the back end. The next comment is from Saturn Taku, who says, you accomplished what you needed to in the draft and offseason. Pratt is worth playing in the AHL. Keep an eye on him during the season and move him up in the depth chart if he's growing at a decent enough pace. And yeah, that's probably the plan, is to sign him, because if we look at the AHL defensive core at the moment too, you could see basically, because Bolduc's obviously going to be on our defensive core in the NHL, but he would be basically one of the best AHL defensemen already if he was signed. So he's probably already going to be playing on the top 2 pairing with this Fulp guy. So I think it's a no-brainer that we sign him and fill out the defensive core in the AHL a little bit. Looks like we don't actually have a lot of defensemen signed for the AHL, which is kind of a question mark, I guess. But, Barlow and stuff like that has no potential. I could always sign somebody like Barlow just to fill out the AHL defensive core as well, but not too sure if I'll do that. Maybe I will. Solnishkin technically has no potential, so I could sign him. Same with Wolski. Maybe I'll just sign all 3 of these medium 7th Ds, so that way our AHL defensive core isn't like as empty as it should be. And having Pratt as well there would be good for obviously the top 2 pairings. So I think I'll probably sign a bunch of our unsigned defensemen, even though these guys don't have much potential, just more to fill it out, because or I'll still be putting forwards in those spots, and that's kind of dumb, I think. And the last and final comment is from Dylan Burrows, who says, Strome or Terry for Duclair, maybe add in a pick. And then he also says, or White Cloud. Now, I was looking actually at potential deals for Troy Terry, and Troy Terry actually does not want to come to this team, which is interesting enough. So we can't even trade for Troy Terry. As much as Troy Terry would be a great addition for maybe our top six or something like that, he has no interest in the New York Islanders. He has interest in the Rangers, but not us, unfortunately. So, yeah, we cannot bring in Troy Terry. And then he was mentioning about Ryan Strome, which I think Ryan Strome has a bit too much trade value. He could go anywhere, but I don't think we'll be able to bring somebody like him in, because if we look at the trade value, it's like that much on Ryan Strome. And if we look on Duclair does not have a lot of value by comparison. Like, we'd have to add like a first round pick to that, and I don't think that would be worth it, to be honest. So, Strome, it won't really work. Zach Whitecloud, I don't think would make much sense either, because we don't really have the defensive need for him. Like, basically, Whitecloud would replace somebody like Mayfield, and to get rid of Mayfield, we'd have to ask him to waive his no-trade clause, which I think is a lot of work to do. Technically, we could replace Sam Bolduc with Whitecloud, but Whitecloud's a right-handed defenseman, so technically, if you're thinking about playing him just on the right side of things, you could see that actually it doesn't have a way to sort just by right Ds, but you could see basically in terms of our right-handed defenseman, Dobson would be on the first pairing, Pollock already has second pairing. It would have to be Mayfield that would basically be getting knocked out in order to get another guy on that right side. So there's nothing really we could do about that in terms of bringing in Whitecloud. It would be nice, but at the moment I don't think it makes much sense for our team to do any of those type of trades. So anyways, there's that. Let's get to signing Pratt, because obviously that's something I want to do, and those other seventh defensemen in the AHL, so that we could fill out our defensive core a bit. It's good that these guys are all AHL eligible too, so we'll just sign every single one of them, because even though they're 7th D potentials, at least it just gives it, like I said, more depth, and that way we actually have defenders in the right spots rather than forwards playing D, because forwards playing D just doesn't look good, especially in the chemistry department. So all those guys are going to get signed. I don't know if any of them will pan out, but it does help fill out our defensive core a little bit more at least, so that's good. Aside from that, in terms of what we're actually going to sign in free agency, we don't really need too much for a free agent signing, so I was thinking the only addition I might bring in is like somebody like Juuso Parssinen for a bottom six role, because right now we already technically have our centers in stone, because right now we'd be running Horvat, Nelsons, and Cizikas for sure. We'd probably be using, we could probably use a fourth line center. We definitely still could use Gustafsson as a fourth line center. So technically that's probably who I would run as centers: Horvat, Nelson, Cizikas, and Gustafsson. And then we'd probably use like Foodies like a depth forward. We'd obviously be running Duclair and Frondell as left wingers, Bjorkstrand and all those guys as right wingers and stuff. There is a chance I could sign more players, but I don't really know if I need to at the moment. We'll see actually when I sign Juuso Parssinen if he'll accept, but I think he'd be a good little option for the bottom six, because I was looking at his stats and he does seem to be pretty good in terms of takeaways, so I think that could help us out in terms of maybe a bit stronger defensive play in that bottom six. He's not good at faceoffs, so I will likely have him on the left wing, and obviously I'll try and say to him, hey, play on the left side, but I don't know if I will even do that. He just has really terrible faceoffs regardless, so we probably just play him as a left winger once we sign him. And I think we don't really need anything else in terms of free agency. Maybe a couple depth forwards, but for the most part, it's actually, we do need a depth defenseman. That's something I need to. But we don't really need a whole lot for this roster going into next season, so not going to make any huge signings. But yeah, Juuso Parssinen as a fourth line option might be okay here. He does want 2 years, which is kind of not great. He is only 25 years old, though, so I could easily just flip him away. His organizational interest is pretty high, so I could be able to probably drop this down a little bit here. Let's go 1.6. I honestly don't know if he will... maybe I could try a little bit lower. I just don't know if he's going to get taken by another team otherwise. Let's just try 2 years at 15.50. And like I said, if we need to move him, we can. So there is Juuso Parssinen. Apparently there's another team interested in him, which I didn't even realize. Maybe I should have offered him a bit more, because that might screw us out of getting him. Aside from that, we do need, like I said, a depth defenseman. So we don't need anybody too crazy, which I did see there's like Andrew Peak available, which is not a bad depth defenseman before. Where was he? I don't know where Peak is now. Bjorn Fott is not bad either. Trying to see who would be good in terms of like really good defensively as a depth defender. Logan Stanley, Fleury. Most of these depth defensemen don't have super good defensive awareness. Joel Hanley's okay, but he's 35 already. Stetcher has 84 defensive awareness. Kyle Burrs has 82. Oh, there's Peak, only 83. Spencer Stastny has really good defensive awareness, apparently. Actually, not defensive awareness, but 3.5-star defense. So good stick checking and shot blocking with him. Who do I want to use as the depth defenseman? I don't want to bring Travis Hamonic back to the Islanders at this point, even though he did start his career with the Islanders. Let's see the defensive awareness stats again. Yeah, maybe I'll go for Troy Stetcher. Yeah, I think Stetcher would be a good little option here. So bring in Troy Stetcher. He actually wants a two-way contract, which is great as well. Gives us basically a cheap player. So Stetcher will already immediately accept. So Stetcher is in as a depth defenseman. So that's really great to see. On a nice little two-way deal as well. And then, like I said, we're waiting on Parsonen. If I can't get Parsonen, maybe we'll come to somebody like Blake Lizotte or something like that. Blake Lizotte, how good is his face-off stats? 79, that's actually pretty damn solid. He is a playmaker, though, which is not much of a thing you want on a fourth line. Maybe we go for Jack Drury or something, too. Jack Drury is definitely more of a good defensive fourth line option. So, yeah, maybe we'll look at Jack Drury here shortly as well, depending if Parsonen will accept or not. So I could offer both of them contracts, and then I could just table the contract offer to accept it for Drury. But I don't really know exactly how that works. And let's keep it for now. I don't think... Oh, there is a team interested in him, though. Do I go for both of them and just give us too much people? And then one of them could play in the AHL next season or something like that. Or maybe we even just don't play it, do 4 in the NHL. Drury is a left-handed shot. Parsonen's probably right-handed? No, he's left-handed. And let's just keep it the same. I could go for Jack Drury right now, but I guess we already went for Parsonen, so we'll wait on that. Alright, so let's see if Parsonen will accept that contract offer. I think he's the only one I really want to go for other than that depth defenseman we already brought in. So let's advance today and see if Parsonen will accept. Third rounder and Lennox for a 6th and a 7th. That does not make any sense to me. I don't get that trade offer. Because that's 2 super late picks for literally a younger goalie prospect and a 3rd round pick. Like, I don't understand that. That's kind of weird logic, but whatever. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention I did offer a bunch of scouts contracts. That's why this just popped up. Because basically, as if you remember in last episode, there was a lot of good scouts available. So I fired every single one of our scouts and offered a contract to 20 new scouts. So we will see all these people accept here. And yeah, then obviously, once we get to the start of the season, I'll probably have to make a cut where I reassign all those scouts. So just a little heads up on that. But yeah, a lot of scouts coming into this team, and hopefully that will help us get some good results in terms of future draft classes. So very excited to see if we get good results with that. A 4th rounder, and our low bottom 6 to Colorado for a 3rd and a 3rd. That almost sounds like a no-brainer. Because basically we're moving up in the first those rounds, and we get rid of a low bottom 6 prospect. That's kind of an interesting pick swap. Like, how good is Galvin even? He was the guy that we drafted literally in the 7th round, but he is a low bottom 6. Like, he's not going to really pan out. He looks okay. I don't think Galvin's going to really become much, but Colorado's picks are probably going to be late 3rd round picks, so it's not really much of an upgrade. Our 4th rounders at that point in time might be late, but I'm not too sure. That's kind of an interesting offer. I would normally accept something like that, but right now I just don't think I really want to, so we're just going to wait a little bit on that. But some interesting offers this offseason so far. Parsonen's going to accept our contract, it looks like, on the top, which is nice, as all these other scouts are accepting. That's what happens when you offer 20 scouts a contract. You're just going to get all these pop-ups. So I apologize about all the pop-ups, but at least we'll have some better drafts in the future, which is good. All right, so Parson, and there he is. I've decided to accept your offer. Thank you for your interest. I hope we have a long and happy relationship. So welcome aboard to Yuso Parson. I think that's the only addition I really need to make this offseason. Like, I can't really make any huge trades right now, just because there's not enough value on this team, and I don't really see where we need the player the most. Because now that we have this, our centers are Horvat, Nelson, Cizikas, maybe even Yuso Parsonen, but I'll probably use him more as a left winger, like I said. So that's already set in stone, our centers, because we have Gustafsson technically, who's still holding out a little bit longer. Left wing side of things, we got Duclair, Frondel, and then we also have some right wingers that could play on the left side too, like Vitrano, for instance, Bjorkstrand. I feel like we're missing something still on this roster. Let me just see. How much forwards we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say Foodie is the 6th. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We probably could use some more depth, though. More depth. Actually, we do have guys holding out, too, still at the moment, right? That's right. So Wallstrom technically could be here, which would be 13, and Gustafsson would be 14. Okay, actually, technically, I think we have enough roster players. And then defensively, we already know that we have enough. So, yeah, I think we're good. I think we are good in terms of signings. Obviously, we haven't made really a huge upgrade this offseason, but that's something we could do during the season if our team's not off to a great start. So, let's continue to simulate up to next season. And like I said, I'll have to make a cut once we get to the start of the season where I decide to basically put our scouts out in different regions. So, we'll get rid of these trade blade pieces because I do not want these trade offers right now. I mean, I could keep the trade offers on, but or readjust it at least, but I just don't want any offers right now. I think we pretty much have a roster for the start of next season, so we'll just go with that and continue to simulate, see if we are just gonna probably still get some offers. There's one RFA that except Oliver Wallstrom has joined the team again. What month are we in? Late July, okay, so I could still take a look at free agent signings for the end of the month, which I want to kind of do, because I kind of want to see what the league is doing in terms of free agent signings, like where did Anders Lee go? So we'll take a look at that before we actually get to the start of next season. So in terms of free agent signings, what happened this month, this off season? Let's see, any trades? There was a trade, so Whitecloud ended up getting dealt after we were looking into him. He gets dealt to Toronto with a third-round pick for a second, a third, and a goalie prospect named Janssen. Okay. In terms of signings, any interesting signings here? I'm not going to read everything out, but if you guys see anything that you'd be like, wow, damn, just let me know. Brad Marchand going to San Jose. That's kind of an interesting place for him. Get Branson back to Vancouver again. Okay. Stanley going back to the Jets again. Anything interesting that I was not expecting? There wasn't a huge free agent class, so it's probably not going to be anything huge. But Pacioretty in Calgary, Oshie in Tampa. A lot of those guys are pretty old at this stage anyways. Blake Wheeler back to the Rangers. Heinen back to Pittsburgh. Eric Johnson to Carolina. Interesting. Yeah, there's not a lot of huge names this offseason. Zuccarello to Washington. That's a pretty good little addition. Schwartz to Pittsburgh. Anything else other than that? Yeah, it's a lot of okay names, but it's nothing insane. Sonny Milano went back to Columbus, where he started his career, so that's kind of funny. Peltier signed with Washington. I forgot about Peltier being a free agent. Maybe I should have brought him in instead, because he's still young. Justin Schultz in Ottawa. Interesting. JG Pageau signed with Pittsburgh, so that's where our former player went. Of course, he signs with the team in Pittsburgh, though, so literally a team in our division, so that's also not great. Riley Smith going back to Boston, where he obviously played a little bit in his career. Right when he was traded with... yeah, he was part of the Tyler Seguin deal, right? I think, if I remember right. Let's see, anything else? Wallman signed a 6-year deal with San Jose. Jeez. San Jose is loading up. Wenberg to Washington. Dustin Wolf gets a 3-year deal, I guess, out of arbitration. Jeff Skinner to St. Louis. Anything else? Not really. Paul Mary signed with Winnipeg, so that's where our former boy went. Ryan McDonough to Seattle. Yeah, not a lot of huge names. Connor Garland signed a 6-year deal with the Sens. Okay. And Victor Arvidsson going back to Nashville again. Okay. And Alex Tuch signed with the Blackhawks. So that's a great addition for them. As he's obviously going to get a chance to play with like Connor Bedard. So huge addition there for Chicago. Chicago's been making some moves early on in this series. So let's continue to sim up to next season. But yeah, I think we're going to have a good team again next season. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit interesting to see what it's like having like Frindell and stuff like that on our top six, because I think that's our plan, is to play Anton Frindell as the top six player this season. So we'll see what he's able to do. We'll just give Bolduc and Gustafsson their contracts likely now. 1.1, that's a good deal for Bolduc. I'll take it. And Gustafsson, what do you want? 1.050? Nice. Okay, we still have a lot of cap space. Yeah, we're going to be able to make some good moves, I think, this season if we need to upgrade anything. So, obviously, we could get off to a slow start and we could make some adjustments, but I think we're going to have a good team and we're going to have cap space to make it even better if we need to upgrade anything. So, should be another good season ahead here, hopefully. Let's get into adjusting our lines, and then I will do a cut probably and also reassign our scouts. That's probably the plan here to start the season. So goaltenders, Sorokin and Varlamov, of course. In the system, Skarek and Lennox looking good. Defensively, Dobson, Pelech, Pollock, Romanov, Mayfield, Bolduc, and Troy Stetcher. Don't mind it. AHL looks good. Nobody that needs to come up here. We have 3, 6, 9 defensemen in the AHL, so I probably will end up scratching people that don't really matter that much, and I'll put in all our prospects we drafted in that spot instead. In terms of right wingers, or left wingers technically too, Bjorkstrand, Vetrano, Holmstrom, Wallstrom, Dufour. Left wingers, Frundell's up to an 84. Nice. This is a third line scoring forward, but he will probably play in our top 6. Duclair has dropped off to a third liner, which is not ideal, but he will be probably playing on our third line this season, likely. In terms of our centers, or he could be playing our second line, actually, for that matter, too. Centers, we got Barzal, Horvat, Nelson, Cizikas, Parsonen, and Gustafsson. Foodie's in the AHL, but he could come up at any point. We actually do need one more skater up here, so I guess I will call up Liam Foodie as the other depth forward for this team. Let's go best AHL lines. I guess our AHL team is still lacking a lot of players, but let's readjust our lines here. So we're going to have Barzal on the right wing, Horvat down the middle, Nelson as the second line center. I don't know why he got a bunch of statistical growth here, but apparently he did. Cizikas is the third line center. Parsonen would be fourth line, I guess, and we could play Gus. Actually, he wouldn't be the fourth line center because he's bad at face-offs, so we'll go like that. We'll obviously go Bjorkstrand on the top line. And then we will probably... Vetrano is actually a second line forward here at this stage, so Frundell might actually still be third line, him or Duclair. Maybe I should keep him there for the time being, just so until he generates enough growth that he's a second liner. But our team is still looking pretty balanced. I like it, looks of it. Dufour jumping in, Parsonen being a left winger. Yeah, it looks good. And then defensively, we go something like that. Obviously, that top 6 pairing still has that -2, but it worked well last season, so we'll keep it together this season. Yeah, this is looking good. This is looking good. Wallstrom is depth. Same as Stetcher. And Foodie is a fourth line guy. Oh, Foodie might complain about his ice time. I mean, I could technically scratch Parsonen, but for right now, I want to see what Parsonen can do. And then if Parsonen doesn't do good, maybe we could draw Foodie into the lineup. So... yeah, that looks actually really nice. That's actually a pretty good team. Good chemistry on offense and defense for the most part. What about our special teams? +2, not the most insane chemistry there. I probably want to have Dobson on this first unit, though, so I am going to take Frankie V off this first power play unit. And we'll put him on the second one instead. Just because Dobson should get a lot of ice time. So here... maybe I'll actually take Cizikas off the power play. Yeah, maybe I will. So we will... is Frankie V, can he take face-offs? Probably not, right? Yeah, no, not really. So we'll put him in still, though, anyways. Who can take face-offs on this unit? Nobody really right now. What about up here? Nobody right there. We need somebody that could take face-offs on this unit. So who's not on the power play that should be? Maybe we could give power play time to Gustafsson. Yeah, I don't. You know what? We're gonna give some power play time to David Gustafsson. Sure. After what he did last year in the playoffs, let's do it. So a lot of forwards on that second unit, which is kind of questionable, but we'll see if it works. And then obviously I should probably put Dobson on this one as well, because Dobson, like I said, is very important. Maybe I should put Pollock actually on that second power play unit instead, because Pollock is important as well. He's not the best offensive player, but still. Pollock in here instead of Simon Holmstrom would be okay. Yeah, Simon Holmstrom's not a power play player, so we will get Pollock onto this power play unit here. And that will just give us an actual defenseman on this unit. That looks better. David Gustafsson's probably the weird one on the power play, but I'm going to just give him a chance. Penalty kill, Horvat, Zizekas looks okay. Parson and Holmstrom. Nelson, Frundell. I don't mind it. Do not mind it. Looks fine for now. So our team's looking pretty good, I'd say. I think we definitely have a good chance of playing really good this season. And obviously we have the cap space, like I said, to make upgrades too, which is even better. So we could still upgrade from Duclair, but Frundell could end up being a second liner by the end of the season. So I don't know if that's anything that's necessary for our team to make. We could always use Holmstrom as a fourth liner if we really want to at some stage as well. So a lot of movement we could do, but it might not be necessary. In the AHL, let me see, is there anybody that shouldn't be scratched? No, there isn't. Matt Maggio is actually getting pretty close to being ready, which is interesting. I was not expecting him to grow, but he's almost a depth forward. Aside from that, a lot of our defenders are being played as forwards because we do not have enough forwards in the AHL at the moment. So I probably should sign 3 forwards for the AHL. That might be a good play here, so that way we could play our prospects in the right spot. Yeah, that probably would be a good play. So I need 3 forwards. Let's sign those for the AHL since we have the cap space anyways. So if I go to free agents here, there should be guys that want two-way contracts that we can sign for the AHL, right? Let's just go two-way, and let's just go centers to start. Akil Thomas will... Actually, we don't want to sign anybody too good. Let's just go to the lower a little bit. Let's go to, like... let's go to Joshua Dunn here. Sure. We'll sign you for the AHL. Welcome aboard. We will sign also Jonah Gadjevich for a little bit of grit in the AHL. So welcome aboard. And we'll sign 1 right winger as well in Nathan Bastian. Sure. Actually, he's listed as a 4th liner though, which I don't really like. Let's go with Martin Pospisil instead. There we go. So now we have 3 more AHL players, which is good. And now we don't have to worry about our defenders playing on the offensive side of things. And this will make our AHL team even stronger this season, which is kind of exciting. So we'll get Gadjevich in here. We'll get, instead of there, we'll get Joshua Dunn. And we'll take Mitchell out as well here for Pospisil. Perfect. So that will make our AHL team a bit stronger. And then in terms of defense, I am going to be scratching some prospects here. Likely I'll be scratching anybody that I didn't draft. Obviously, I want Pratt to be on a top unit if possible with Fulp. Odilis could still probably play. Yeah, Odilis could definitely still play. George could probably still play. You have multiple meme 7ths that I signed, though. So, ooh, Barlow, I forgot, is an enforcer. Damn. Do I want Wolski in, though, over him? Wolski's an offensive defenseman, too, so I could put him up, maybe. Should I get the enforcer in or another offensive defenseman? Probably the enforcer. I didn't realize how much offensive defenseman we've been drafting. But yeah, we'll put the enforcer in on that. So Solnishkin will get scratched, but he could come back in. So there you go. That's all good and ready to go. Yeah. Looking good. Looking good. Okay, perfect. Actually, I should check if Pratt's on the power play in the AHL. So much things to do before we actually start simulating. I just want to see how Pratt does in the AHL for sure, but I want to make sure he's getting a lot of ice time. He already is on the first line power play. That's good. That's good. Even though it does technically have a -2 in chemistry, which is not ideal. But we'll see if Pratt has a good season. Power play time and regular strength top 2. I like it. I like it a lot. So that's good. I'm going to make a quick cut and I'm going to reassign all the scouts. And I'm also going to do the off-season goals. So that's our regular season goals. My bad. I don't even know did I do any of the off-season goals? I think I might have forgot about doing that now. I meant to do that if I didn't do that in last episode, I meant to do that in this episode. So oops, I might have made a big mistake there. But anyways, I'm going to get to the season goals, reassigning the scouts, and then we'll actually start up year number 3. So see you guys in a second. Okay guys, so I gave goals to pretty much everybody. Some of the people in the bottom 6 I didn't really care too much about because I don't think they really need goals, because most of them, I'd say a lot of the people I even gave on a roster don't really need them, just because a lot of them have already reached their full potential. So I did give them, obviously, though, to mainly our big guys. So obviously like Horvat, more face-off related. Again, Dobson, more assist related. Same with Barzal. Sorokin is a win one. Nelson, I believe, was also an assist one, maybe a goal one. Don't remember exactly. Ryan Pulox was, I believe, in terms of assists, I think, or plus minus. Bjorkstrand is his goals related, that type of thing. Frundell, I think I wanted him to score at least 20 goals this season. So trying to keep it somewhat realistic with these guys, and hopefully they could achieve some of their goals this season. If not, it's not the biggest problem in the world, but obviously it would be good for some extra growth for them and their career. But anyways, I think we're actually ready to finally start simulating. I have been recording for 44 minutes, and I think a lot of it has just been micromanaging like this. So let's get into year number 3 and see what this team could do, because I think we should be, like I said, easily going back to the playoffs again this season. But obviously at the same time, you never know what the sim engine is going to throw at us. But first and foremost, we got a conversation with our head coach. Let's see what he thinks about our roster. This team has good enough to compete for the cup. That's my goal for the team this season. Interesting. The goal is make the Stanley Cup final for this coach. So that's kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious to see how good our team could do this season. I think we definitely do have a team that could go to a Stanley Cup finals, but obviously it depends on what the sim engine wants to do to us, because we know that we could have a really good roster and still not win a Stanley Cup. So I'm excited to see what ends up happening. And then on top of that, I'm interested to see what Pratt does in the AHL, because obviously he's probably going to be our next future, one of our best top 4 defensemen, if he could pick up a lot of points in the NHL and AHL level. Because if he's one of those offensive defensemen that only pick up like 10, 20 points, that would really suck, because I'm hoping he's more of like a 40, 50 point guy down the road. So anyways, let's go through our preseason. We got a lot of preseason games to go through, so let's just go through those and see how the team does before we actually get to the regular season. But we should have a strong enough roster where we're going to do really well. The main thing is obviously staying healthy, which I think obviously we can do, but depends on, I guess, once again, if the game wants to give us injuries or not. So 6-1 in the preseason, that hopefully is a good sign of things to come. Who led us in points during the preseason? It was Anthony Duclair. 10 points in 7 games. Nice to see that. Sorokin had a .927 save percentage through the preseason, so it might be good. Might be good. I don't know how much we'll simulate in this episode. Maybe up to like December the 1st. That might be a good chunk, because I don't want to simulate too much and then we're like way out of it or something like that. But I just want to simulate to, I think, December the 1st, just to kind of see what the team is kind of getting under them for the season, and seeing if there's any underlying problems that we should probably look to address early into the season rather than later on. Because obviously last year our penalty kill was pretty bad during the regular season. We didn't address it, and it kind of bit us in the ass in the playoffs a bit. So let's go to the end of October and see how we do in our first 8 games of the season. Let's see what we could do here. A lot of home games, which is good. We lose to the first game of the season 4-1, but we bounce back with a 4-2 win, which is good. Cale Clegg, not Kyle Clegg. What the heck am I saying? Cale Clegg is on waivers. Remember when he had good potential. He's not a bad depth defenseman, but I don't need him because we brought in Troy Stetcher for that spot, so I'm okay with not taking him. Barlow, that's the enforcer prospect, I think, actually, right? I believe that's the enforcer prospect. Has already injured his foot, so I don't know what he was doing, but apparently he might have kicked somebody in the face and broke his foot or something. I don't need Marco Scandella, but thank you there, Washington. We're on a nice little 3-game winning streak as Romanov has bruised his hand. This will give Troy Stetcher some time to play, but that's not a great injury to have here early in the season. But so far, so good through our first 6 games. Love to see it as Barlow has returned for Bridgeport. Hopefully, like I said, Bridgeport has a good year. We did sign them a bunch of players, obviously, for that 4th line, so they could have a good year. It just depends if they're staying healthy and all of that, and some of the guys decide to grow. So Barlow's back in. Hopefully Pratt's off to a good start down there in the minors, because if he could do good at the AHL level, he should be able to do good at the NHL level eventually, as Parker Wotherspoon is now on waivers. Dallas is waiving a couple of the same type of guys. Oh yeah, Wotherspoon was drafted by the Islanders. I thought so, but I wasn't too sure. I don't really need another depth defenseman, but I appreciate it. And 6-1-1 in our first month. That might be a sign of good things to come. Our team has been very good. Obviously, they were great in the preseason, and now in the regular season through 8 games, we only have 1 regulation loss. So that is good. That is good. We'll go 1 more month, and then we'll take a look and see what has been clicking for our team. As another player on waivers, Ian Mitchell of the Winnipeg Jets. Another same type of guy. They're all like literally 77 depth defensemen. I could literally stack my HL team up, but I don't want to because we already have good defensive prospects down there. And we're getting a blockbuster trade offer, but I'm not going to do it. Khudobin, Pratt, and George, so our best prospects basically, for Andrew Kopp in a 4th round pick. I do not want Andrew Kopp for that. I'm going to decline. Thank you, though, Detroit. Those prospects are kind of are players I'm not going to be willing to move at the moment. So we got a back-to-back with Minnesota. That's interesting. To start this month, let's go right to December the 1st and see if we can still have a good start to the season or if we're going to start to fall off or not. As Romanov has returned from his injury. That's good. Stetcher is okay on that top pairing. He didn't make it a minus chemistry, so that's good. But hopefully Stetcher did well while he was in the lineup, because that would be a nice little depth addition if he does actually good when he's in the lineup too. George and Galvin for Cole. That's not a bad trade offer if I wanted to upgrade our defense more, but right now we're not trying to do that. So we'll come to that once we get to once closer to the trade deadline. As Pospisil has been injured with an MCL sprain in the AHL, so that's one of those forwards I signed for the AHL. That's kind of interesting. Damn, this team is really doing well here early on in the season. Like, we're having some pretty good defensive games and offensive games too. Jeez, this team is cooking. We might end up winning a President's Trophy this year at this rate. Damn. Was not expecting to get off to this hot of a start. Drake Batherson in a 4th rounder for Khudobin, Pratt, and George. That's a more interesting one, but I'm not taking Drake Batherson right now. I wouldn't get rid of our elite goalie prospect in Pratt that early. So I'm going to decline that. But Drake Batherson would be nice because we lose to the Blackhawks for the 2nd time this season. And then we lose in a shootout. Sam Bolduc has been injured with injured wrist. Don't know what the heck he did with his wrist, but apparently it's injured. We'll just go replace player. We lose another one in a shootout, and then we win. So we're still going to extra frame quite a bit. As Connor Garland is getting offered from Vegas. Didn't he sign with Ottawa, though, in the offseason? That's kind of weird. I feel like Ottawa must have signed him and then dealt him immediately to Vegas. And now Vegas is like, hey, we don't want him, and they're going to try and deal him to me. It's kind of funny. Not going to accept that. But yeah, this team is really doing well. Like, we only have 2 regulation losses almost in our first 20 games of the season. So I am very excited to see some player stats and what's actually been doing good for us. Like, is it our power play and our penalty kill? Are they doing better than last year? Is it our goals for? Is it our goals against? Like, I feel like our goals against has to be really good. As Uvis Balskinis is on waivers, which I'm not going to claim him. He's another one of those depth type of defenders. That's 3 defenders, though, that Dallas has waived. We lost in overtime there to Utah, but we still only have 2 regulation losses so far in our first 20 games. And, of course, actually, it was a win. Okay, 15-2-4 in our first 21 games of the year. That's actually incredible. Absolutely incredible. We are not in first place in the league. Currently, that's the Toronto Maple Leafs, which is kind of surprising. We're not actually the best team. But we have probably played, like, the least amount of games, I would assume. But really good start to the year for this team. So even though we didn't make a lot of offseason adjustments, things are looking good. Barzal's already on 29 points in 21 games. We're currently 4th in goals for, as you can see, 3.81. We're the best defensive team in the NHL at 2.38 goals against. So Sorokin's having a fantastic season so far. Power play is 23.4%, and our penalty kill still seems to be a bit of an issue like last year, 81.5%. So maybe we still want to look for a good penalty killer or readjust our penalty kill at least going forward. But let's take a look at our player stats so far for the season, as Barzal's up to a 93. Damn, he's actually doing really, really well. Let's take a look at these player stats here. So, Barzal on 29 points. He's been great. Horvat's on 25 points. He's still doing great too. Brock Nelson's over point per game, so really good depth scoring there. Gustafsson's only on 8 points, but he has been okay. Cizikas on 7 points. Not as good as last year, but still good plus minus. Parson on 6 points, plus 2. How's the takeaways? Yeah, it's relatively around the same. That's why I brought him in, is just because he has decent takeaways, it seems like. So Parsons not the most effective player in the world, but I don't mind the depth scoring here. It definitely is more of our top 6 than anything still, though. So a third-line scoring forward might be okay. Frundell on 15 points in 21 games. He is still listed as a third-liner, so he's not ready to jump past Duclair yet, but both of them have been pretty good. Frundell's obviously been the better of the two in the plus-minus department, but liking the way both those guys are simulating so far. Right wingers, Bjorkstrand's over point per game on 25 points. He's still been really good here. Really liking that. Holmstrom on 15 points. He's having a fantastic year. Was not expecting Simon Holmstrom to have 15 points. We're only signed him to 17.25 for 3 more seasons, so really good start for him. Frankie V's also off to a good start this year too, so that's helping all a lot. Dufour has no goals in 21 games, but he has got 2 assists and plus 3. All right, I don't mind it. Some pretty good offense, I would say, because you look at everybody above Frank Vetrano, I would say those guys have been all doing pretty good in terms of point production through 21 games. In terms of our defense, Dobson's on 14 assists in 21 games and a plus 12. No goals so far for Noah, but he has been good. Pollock on 6 points plus 8. Pellick 5 points plus 8. Romanov's got 5 points in 17 games plus 3. Stetcher has 4 points in 7 games as a depth defenseman. He might be a defensive defenseman, but he has some good offensive skill apparently. Plus 5 too. So Stetcher works well with Dobson, I guess. Bolduc 2 points in 18 games, and Mayfield has 2 in 21. All right, not bad. Goaltending wise, Sorokin on a 925, and then you have Varlamov on a 917. Our goaltending has been great. Wow, like Sorokin's literally 12-1-4. Varlamov's 3-1. Any assists yet for these guys? No. But so far so good through 21 games. Like, we definitely are looking like we're going to be the best defensive team this season. And we're also going to have some okay depth scoring on our top 9 especially. So that's good. Let's take a quick look at the AHL here too. And at the prospects that I got into the AHL this year. I don't think there was any forward prospects. No, there wasn't. How about defense? Let's see. Pratt. Ooh, baby. Yeah, signing Pratt was a good idea. He only has 1 power play point, which is kind of weird. But 16 points in his first 19 AHL games. Still 69 overall, but he is definitely showing he can produce at the AHL level. Hopefully he could do that when he gets to the NHL. He wears number 87, so maybe a fan of Crosby, which is kind of cool. -4, so his defense isn't the best right now, but he definitely is playing pretty good. Then we have Wolski on 5 points, and Barlow the Enforcer had, I guess, 1 fight in his 15 games. And then goalies, Skarek has a 921 so far, and Lennox has a 927. So I guess their AHL team is lacking offense a bit. Yeah, because Pratt's currently second on offense on the team. But the only point per game guy is Matt Maggio, who's getting close to the NHL. So yeah, the AHL team is lacking a little bit of scoring, but at least some of the guys that are important are scoring. So that's good to see. Okay, so there is that. I think the last thing I'm going to take a look at is just the trading block, just for fun, even though it's technically early in the season. Actually, maybe I'll take a look at the draft class too, but I don't even know if I want to make any trades next episode. I might wait till the episode afterwards because we're probably going to still simulate the season in 2 more parts. But I do want to see if there's anything kind of interesting out there. I don't even really know if our team needs to make any moves, though. It's pretty strong the way we've started the season off. So, but obviously the penalty kill seems to be the main problem at the moment. Ilya Mikheyev, he has 4 years left. Athanasiou has 1 year left. That's not bad, but he's not a defensive forward. Jason Dickinson has 1 year left. That's not bad. He is a two-way forward as well. Listed as a third-line scoring forward. He actually has been really good in Chicago right now, so I don't know why they would deal him away. But Jason Dickinson is pretty good. He's pretty good. He also does fit our coaching system. But I don't know if we'd have the value to get him. Like, it would probably cost us one of our top prospects, and I don't know if I want to do that. But Jason Dickinson's pretty good. Aside from that, is there anybody else that would be interesting? That would be good for his team. Gustafson's an offensive defenseman. Don't need Larson. There is Kopp, but that trade offer was too much for me, in my opinion. What else we got here? Bobrovsky's on the block with 2 years left on his contract at 38 years old now. Damn. He's getting close to retirement. Fogamo is not bad as a depth option, but he's a 79 only. Kiviranta on 1 year left. So there is some okay depth forwards. David Savard is a defenseman, but we don't need defenders really because I can't really get rid of any defenseman on my team right now. Arvidsson, no thank you. He's pretty good, but still. The Rangers have nothing. Ottawa has Claude Giroux on the block with 2 years left. There's Batherson on his 1 year left. Drake Batherson would be a great addition, don't get me wrong, but the value it costs for somebody like Drake is just too much. Thomas Chabot has 2 years left, still a modified no trade clause. Zub's on the block as well with 1 year left. David Perron. Zub is not something I would really need anyways, but he has no interest in joining us. Probably Chabot too, right? I would assume he doesn't have any interest with us. Oh, he does. Okay. But yeah, I honestly don't know if we need any superstar players. We could always do it, but we'd have to get rid of, like I said, a top prospect. And I don't want to move Pratt. I don't want to move any of the elite goalie prospects. Okay. Wow, that's a really interesting development. That's definitely going to cost too much, though. William Eklund is on the block by the San Jose Sharks. I'm not too sure why, but 2 years left at 23 years old and $7 million. Is it because he becomes a UFA at the end of that contract? I honestly don't even know. I feel like he's still maybe an RFA at the end of it. He's been really good this season, too, on 21 points in 21 games. Huh, that's kind of strange. Maybe the Sharks are just not doing good and he's requesting them to trade him. I don't know. I've never seen a 23-year-old that has elite potential on the block that early into his career. I don't think. Huh. I don't even know if Eklund would really fit this team well, but still, that is a really interesting player for sure. I wasn't expecting to see him on the block. Anders Lee's on the block again. Now he's in St. Louis, so that's where he signed. He's actually off to an okay start, but I don't think I would bring back Anders Lee just to fill out a roster a bit. What else we got here? Nothing at Tampa. Toronto's got prospects. Utah has Jersey Marino, so they have some good defensemen. Taylor Hall's on the block as well. Same with Ian Cole and Juuso Valimaki. Those guys are all like top 6 and above those, so we'd have to get rid of a defender to get one in. Connor Garland's on the block. Did he ever even play a single game with Ottawa? He did not, so I feel like he got signed by Ottawa and then got dealt right away, because I'm pretty sure we saw he got signed by the Sens, right? Hurdle, Bogosian, Fisher, Sundqvist, some decent players there. Washington has McDonough on the block. Nick Perbix is on the block. Yeah, I feel like a lot of these guys are players that we don't really need too much, because we already kind of have players in those type of roles. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of New York Islanders Franchise Mode. So in next episode, we will simulate more. We'll simulate probably up to a day before the draft. But this team's off to a fantastic start this season. I don't think there's any hurry to make any trades, but hopefully this team keeps on cooking. And hopefully once we get to the playoffs, we cook even more. So nice thing down below, and I'll see you guys next time.